From 1982, former number one for Dexy's Midnight Runners, 10:26 on a Wednesday. BBC Radio Scotland, 1 week till Christmas. Our consumer surgery is back to help you look after and make the most of your money. Martin James off shopping probably this week, but we've drafted in the help of Edinburgh-based consumer expert, the complaint resolver, Scott Dixon, is here this week instead. Scott, morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Great to have you with us this morning. Thank you for being with us for this. You're here to take questions after 11 this morning. So maybe anyone who feels that they have been scammed this Christmas, maybe they've been caught up in a kind of Christmas swindle thing, maybe they are waiting for a delivery that has not turned up, maybe they're struggling to get a refund on something they bought and they're not happy with. All these things, Scott's here after 11 to take your calls. 80295. If you want to text us, but give us a call, it's free to do that. 08085 92 95 00. This is a big time of year for scams, Scott, isn't it? With so many emails flying about.
It is, Stephen, and scams come in all shapes and forms, and they are becoming increasingly sophisticated with the advent of artificial intelligence. And at this time of year, the most likely scams pretend to be from online retailers, delivery services, payment platforms, banks or credit card companies, but they span everything, including fake travel cards, HMRC tax scams at this time of year, and fake QR codes at parking sites. And travel scams are particularly popular at this time of year when many people are looking forward to booking trips abroad for some well-needed sunshine and a break from the cold, dark and damp weather that we're all familiar with.
Just earlier this week, ScotRail issued a warning to passengers after a fake social media account swindled customers out of money. They've been telling people to beware of these ScotRail smart cards advertised on Facebook for £2, despite them being free to order. In reality, on this, what do we know about that and how that came about?
Well, this came about on Facebook, and the problem is with Facebook, you get so many scammers just putting fake accounts up. And this was a smart card scam from a fake social media account offering ScotRail smart cards on Facebook for £2, despite them being available for free. And there were a few relatively easy things to spot with this Facebook account scam. And the first thing that jumped out when I saw it was £2 unlimited rail travel for 12 months. Are you really going to enjoy unlimited rail travel for 12 months for £2? And the website link was vatenpress.com. And a genuine link would be to ScotRail's official website. So ScotRail's advice, they've said that a quick way to spot these fake Facebook accounts is by their very low number of followers and likes. And the real ScotRail account has around 107,000 likes and 126,000 followers. So if you come across these pages, report them to Facebook, and if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And never click on a link from emails or texts. And if something interests you, go to the official website and see if it's genuine. I think we've just got to be careful and use our common sense, Stephen.
Yeah. This time of year, a lot of them will be related to, special last-minute offers, great prices on gifts or experiences, guaranteed delivery before Christmas, all that kind of thing. What are the other telltale signs? What are the other things that you should look out for?
Well, things that you should look out for, check the website first of all, and to give you an example, the BBC recently highlighted a scam website which promised a £99 a night stargazing dome deal, offering a futuristic pod with a transparent canopy and breathtaking views. And it turned out to be an empty field. And the things that you need to look out for, look for minor spelling mistakes and save the website and how long has it been up? And just do your own homework, and you can reverse image search images from the website on Google. So you can, in this case, for example, these images were snatched from a legitimate website offering a similar experience in Australia. So look for minor spelling mistakes and just do your homework. Maybe try and contact them direct and see, is this a genuine deal? Yeah, I think you've just got to be your own detective and be suspicious and be cautious at all times.
Especially before you part with any cash, just to double check the details of all that stuff. So we can talk more about that after 11 this morning with Scott. But if you've got any questions around refunds, for instance, insurance perhaps as well, maybe you're struggling to get something delivered by a company that looked okay, but you're now beginning to be suspicious about it. Scott is the complaints resolver. He's back with us after 11 this morning. Get your questions in. It is 80295 to text us, or 08085 92 95 00 to get in touch via the phone line, or you can send us a voice note on WhatsApp for that as well. Right, back to the music now this Wednesday morning on BBC Radio Scotland, playing one of the all-time great Christmas songs. Here's Bing Crosby. We'll play that for you if you're stuck in a jam somewhere this morning. From 1986, that's Chris Rea on BBC Radio Scotland, 10 minutes after 11 on a Wednesday morning. It's time for our weekly Consumer Surgery, here to help you with any consumer complaints that you've got. This week, our expert is Scott Dixon, the complaints resolver. He's here to help with advice around anything that you have run into trouble with, especially maybe in the run-up to Christmas, online deliveries, perhaps refunds, whatever your questions are. 80295 if you want to get in touch on the text, or 08085 92 95 00. Scott, this is the point 1 week out from Christmas Day when, I remember this from last year, people started to encounter all these issues with things that were promised delivery before Christmas, and now it's looking like it's not possible. How do you stand in terms of that? If you've been told guaranteed delivery before Christmas, and then just a week out the company's saying, well, actually, we've had problems with supply, we might not be able to do it, what are your rights?
Well, Stephen, this falls under Section 28 of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, which covers the delivery of goods. And your contract is always with the retailer. So any disputes with a trader about a delivery, unless there is an agreed time period, the contract is to be treated as including a term that the trader must deliver goods without undue delay and within 30 days after the day on which the contract is entered into. And if it's time specific and the goods are not delivered in time, it's a breach of contract, and you can cancel the order and get a refund. And you just simply need to stress breach of contract under the Consumer Rights Act 2015. I want to cancel the order and get a refund. And if you're having problems getting a refund, just say, I'll raise a chargeback. And what that means is you contact your bank or credit card provider, and within 120 days, you can dispute the transaction. And you need to push hard on chargebacks and cite breach of contract under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, because chargebacks are often rejected on the first attempt. And even the threat of a chargeback to a retailer can elicit the right outcome, because they are very difficult and expensive for retailers to deal with.
That's good advice. 80295 for your questions for Scott this morning, whether it be around festive stuff or any other consumer issues that you've got, or you can give us a call. That's free. 08085 92 95 00. Jean has done that. She's first this morning. Morning, Jean.
Good morning.
Morning. What's your question for Scott?
Yeah, it's regarding roof repair. It's just, we engaged a tradesman to fix a leaking garage roof, since he had done some work for us in the past, which had been very good. The initial roof repair on the garage seemed adequate, but it continued to leak. So since the work was guaranteed, we phoned the tradesman, and he did come and do some work on the garage roof, but the problem still continues. So since we didn't know how often we could call him out, but despite five phone calls and an email and 2 appointments that were supposed to materialise but didn't, we're kind of stuck, and we wondered how to take it forward.
All right, Scott, what do you think?
Right, Jean. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the guarantee, because the Consumer Rights Act 2015 overrides this. And Section 49 of the Consumer Rights Act 2015 states that a service is to be performed with reasonable care and skill, and you only need to give a trader one opportunity to remedy the same defect and repair. So you're in a position where the trader refuses to cooperate, and you can find another trader to repair it at their expense, but that is easier said than done, and it can be difficult to enforce. So my advice in this scenario is to write a letter to the firm, if you have their address, with a timeline of events stating that it's breached Section 49 of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, which states that a service is to be performed with reasonable care and skill, and you demand that it remedies all defects within 7 working days, and tell the firm that if it fails to do this, you will issue a claim in the Small Claims Court, which is the simple procedure in Scotland, and seek quotes from other reputable traders in writing to gauge the costs to put things right.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful.
What I would suggest you do, Jean, is prepare a simple procedure form as a draft and send that to the retailer with a cover letter saying, here's the screenshots of the court papers. This sets my case out. I want a refund or a remedy within 7 working days. If you fail to do so, I shall proceed with legal action without further recourse to you.
Yeah. I had hoped to be able to sit down and just get it seen to and resolve this without any problem.
Yeah, I think the problem with traders like this is you've got to go in hard on these disputes, Jean, and it shouldn't be the case, but the Consumer Rights Act 2015 is on your side. How did you pay for it, Jean?
Card.
Was it debit card or credit card?
I think credit card, I think.
Perfect. That's the right answer.
It was a bank transfer.
Well, if you paid by bank transfer, that's more difficult. What I was going to say was, if you paid by credit card, Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act 1974 holds the credit card company jointly liable. So that is another avenue you could have pursued. Rogue traders often insist on bank transfers because they know that you can't raise a chargeback and dispute the transaction if anything goes wrong.
Right. Okay, I didn't realise that.
Oh, sorry you've been through that, Jean. But yeah, good advice from Scotland. Try that and let us know how you get on.
Yes,
Reporting to trading standards as well, Jean, because trading standards are often interested in cases like this as well.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Jean, good luck.
You're welcome.
And keep in touch. Let us know how you go on. 08285 92 95 00 for your questions. 80295. Talking of disputes, this recent windy weather that we've had brought trees down, garden fences down as well across the country. More windy weather forecast next week as well. When something like that happens, Scott, and you've got a dispute over, say, a boundary and a fence that's comes down, and it's a joint fence on 2 properties. Whose responsibility is it to pay for it being repaired? How does that work?
Well, I would say the first step, Stephen, would be to try and resolve it informally by just having a chat about it with your neighbour, because it may be a relatively small repair that can be done and settled amicably. And you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your neighbours. And you have to live alongside these people. So the last thing you want to do is to fall out with them over something that may be quite trivial in the whole scheme of things. But any formal disputes that have involved a local authority or a solicitor must be declared if and when you decide to sell. And that's the reason why I say this, because it is a red flag to any prospective buyer, and it's the last resort. And you risk racking up astronomical bills, and the only winners are the law firms. But if all else fails, it's a boundary argument, so you need to go straight to your boundary deeds to gauge who is liable for the repairs and costs. And the Register of Scotland website, it's allthews.ros.gov.uk, is your point of contact. And the title plan shows the extent and boundaries of a property on a map, and it will mark property boundaries with a red line. But all properties may not have these, and it can be a little bit more complicated. And there's 2 registers. There's the Land Register of Scotland, and this records ownership of land and property in Scotland and was introduced in 1981. And older deeds are held on the Sacine Register, and that predates the Land Register of Scotland. And it's the oldest national public land register in the world, dating back to 1617, and it can be you can find all the property deeds that way, and applications can be submitted online.
And if it comes down to insurance and you're going to claim it off your insurance, and there is an agreement that you've both been put out by this, and it is a joint fence, who should claim on their insurance? How do you deal with that?
Well, first of all, you need to prove who is liable, and is it you, them, or is it joint liability? And I mean, if you're struggling to resolve it, you should always try and claim on their home insurance policy if the liability is with them. Although it's unlikely they will tell you who they are insured with if they're not prepared to help you with the cost. I would say you don't want to claim on your own home insurance policy because such claims will be noted and are a red flag to any future insurer that you are a higher risk and you will potentially pay much higher premiums for years to come. So the first thing that you need to do is ascertain who is liable, and that can be done through the title plans and deeds. So but you just really want to try and avoid going down this route if you can, but it's easier said than done, I know.
You know, that's life, isn't it? Any questions around this kind of stuff? Maybe neighbourly disputes? 80295 to get in touch with us. Or if you're in dispute maybe with an insurance company over some damage that was done and you want some support and advice from Scott, 80295 for your questions on the text. Pick up the phone. That is free. 08085 92 95 00. Let's have a chat about motoring stuff right now. Peak time always at this time of the year for pothole claims with damage caused by the frost and bigger potholes and things appearing. What are your rights when it comes to that, Scott?
Well, it's really difficult to lodge a pothole claim nowadays, Stephen, and the chances of you winning a claim are nigh on impossible. And it's really difficult, and many councils rely on the defence saying they cannot be held liable for damage if they did not know the pothole existed. And claims handlers use standard paragraphs to reject virtually all claims on that basis, knowing that most motorists will just give up and either claim on their insurance or pay themselves. And whilst we have a duty of care to drive safely on the roads, we shouldn't have to be looking out for potholes as we're driving along, and local authorities have a statutory duty of care to maintain the roads and inspect them regularly. And what's happened is there's been a quiet move to a risk-based approach on road inspections, and this has resulted in repairs being neglected. And cutbacks are often cited, yet motorists are paying more than ever to drive on the roads. And the previous policies, this goes back prior to 3 years, there was a specific criteria for a pothole. It had to be a certain depth and size, and it was an objective decision to repair a pothole. But now you've got a watered-down risk-based approach, and these new policies don't define dimensions of potholes. So you can have two identical potholes, and they can be treated differently by different inspectors due to the judgment. So it's really difficult, but it's not impossible. The first thing you need to do is report it. So if you hit a pothole and you believe it's damaged your vehicle, report it as soon as possible via fixmystreet.com or fillthathole.org.uk, or just contact the local authority direct. Take photos, maybe use a bottle of water to measure the depth. It's not the width, it's the depth that matters. Provide a sketch to pinpoint the pothole, because you will be asked to help the local authority find the pothole because there's that many on the roads. Simple sketch will suffice. Get an estimate for the cost of repairs or provide a copy receipt, and submit a freedom of information request, because chances are your claim will be flatly rejected. So at the same time as lodging the report of the pothole, submit a freedom of information request, ask for 12 months worth of inspection reports. How many times has this pothole been reported? When was the last repair made? Was it reported before you hit it? And you just need to do your own homework. But if it's not right, it's worth a fight. And why should you have to pay out your own pocket? Local authorities have a statutory duty of care to maintain the roads properly. And the problem is that, the potholes are not repaired properly to the correct specification and criteria, which means there's more money just wasted on failed pothole repairs.
Let's just talk briefly as well about car finance, which has popped up before in this surgery as well. There's been various complaints around this, a mis-selling of car finance. What's the latest on that, Scott?
Well, this is nothing new, Stephen, and the Financial Conduct Authority began looking at this in 2017 amid concerns about discretionary interest commissions. And the latest update is the FCA the review is focused on discretionary commission arrangements from April 2007 to the 28th of January 2021. That's the time span that's been captured initially. But a recent court ruling captures all commissions. So this includes anybody who's had a finance agreement in place in that time, and it may have ended in the last 6 years. And yeah, if you haven't lodged a complaint yet, do so as soon as possible to get your complaint time stamped and in the pot with your lender. And what the next update is going to be May 2025. So the Financial Conduct Authority are going to issue an update then, and try and establish and agree a pathway to remedy those affected.
But
you don't need a...
It's rumbled on, this story, isn't it? We'll definitely keep across it, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it next year when we get that update from them. Scott, thank you so much for your time this morning, your expertise. Scott Dixon, the complaints resolver, here for this week's Consumer Surgery.